Everybody like and subscribe. We are going to be reading from this book, The Secret of the Atomic Age by Vera Stanley Alder. This book is available on Amazon as a collector's item. This one cost me $50. I'm quite sure there's no book on tape for it. There's probably no PDF, so we're going to try to feed the algorithm a little bit here and feed our minds all at once. Sorry about that. Everyone has my phone number now, so I'm blowing up. Okay. The Secret of the Atomic Age, a search for man's true destiny. Scientists have succeeded with incredible brilliance in analyzing the atom, although it is so small that they have not a chance, as things are, of ever seeing it. They have come to know a great deal about it and have achieved the fantastic task of splitting it and of setting free the mysterious energy which, as they had expected, was locked within. They have proved that the atom is the most complex organism, and at the same time they have proved that it is composed of nothing but positive and negative electricity. They have somehow been able to reconcile these two widely contradictory statements. They have discovered how to disarrange and adjust within the atom in order to change one element into another, something would have been considered an impossible miracle a few years ago. They have ascertained that the normal evolutionary process of nature, such changes take place, although at an infinitely slower pace. The scientists are going to do wonderful things with these discoveries. Possibly the days of the atom bomb will pass away like a nightmare, and mankind will be invited to reap all the benefits which could accrue from the peaceful uses of atomic energy. Perhaps his hours of labor will be halved, and his problems of lighting, heating, and industrial energy improved and cheapened beyond his wildest dreams. Where, however, will man himself stand in the face of this new atomic epoch? What will it do to you and to me? How will it affect our health, our way of living, our understanding, or our joie de vivre? The impact of a new discovery can work equally for good or bad for the individual. The industrial age has already shown us this. Are we going to have a personal relationship with man's new servant, the atom, or are we going to leave it all to the scientists? Let us not forget that we ourselves are composed of atoms. There are vast hidden reserves of power within every one of us, each atom of each molecule of each cell in our bodies. Each atom and each cell is an entity built upon a pole of positive and negative electricity. Man, the aggregate of this, is built in that way also. For untold centuries, the savants or scientists have been aware of the great mysteries locked within all living things. Those mysteries and laws which have produced sentient creatures out of nothing but energy of different vibrational rates. They believed that an almighty intelligence was at work behind it all. They declared that man himself was potentially a finite replica of this all-pervading intelligence, and that as such he should be able to learn to play his part to fulfill his own mysterious destiny within the whole scheme with a capital S. They tried to do this in two ways. The first method was to study how to wield and control the hidden forces of man's own complex nature. This science was known by many names in its chimes. By many names, the science was known by many names in many climes. I'm not familiar with the word climes. Alexa, what does the word climes mean? Climes. All right. But perhaps it is best known to use in the guise of yoga. This can briefly be described as the practice of uniting man's separate parts, the physical body, the mind, the heart, and the soul, so that they can become perfect instruments for expression of divine purpose. In most people, these parts are insulated from one another or at cross purposes, producing a chaotic personality, and thus a chaotic collective community, a chaotic world economy. The second method involves the study of the way in which life was built upon the smallest organic entity, the mineral atom, and of the long evolutionary process through which it passed until its ultimate essence was released. The savants of old blended both esoteric material knowledge and the production of a science which was intended to speed up the process of nature, transmute the minerals, and capture the essence and the elixirs locked within them. With these powerful substances, they claimed to produce rapid transmutation in both man and metal, developing in the former rejuvenation and regeneration, and in the latter gold. This age-old science is known to us as alchemy. It was the predecessor or parent of medicine and chemistry. It was concerned, moreover, with atomic energy and its release. Alchemy, however, worked in alignment with the laws laid down by nature and tried to speed up natural processes. It did not work through the use of violence and the use of explosive activities, as does modern science, and thus it did not produce violent, dangerous radiations and deadly poisonous byproducts. Charlatans existed in alchemical circles just as they exist in every other sphere of study, but the science itself was a profound and revered one. It was, at its best, an expression of man's understanding and of a cooperation with the divine intelligence or God. Through an understanding of the transmutation which takes place in minerals, man is able to appreciate the same process latent within himself. Through speeding up that process in the mineral and refining it to its ultimate powerful inner essence, man realizes that if he will submit the constituents of its own being to the same purifying process, he will refine away all grossness, both material and invisible, and release its own essence or spiritual power. It is the same presence throughout. The electrical forces existing in both matter and mind can be used to burn away dross, to alter vibrational rates, and to produce complete changes of elemental substances of quality in both the mineral atom, and the cells which it builds in the body of man. The mind of man is an electrical instrument given to him to be used in the transmuting process. The most subtle of all forms of alchemy is the transmutation of knowledge into wisdom. Materially minded person will not even know the difference between the two. Knowledge is the accumulation of facts. These facts or elements are static of themselves, but the process of the mind to manipulate and transmute them until a quite new product is born. We call it an idea. If this product is produced by mind in the alignment with the laws of nature or God, it will be the expression of wisdom, which is the elixir, the distillation or essence of the genius within man. If, on the other hand, it is produced by a mind focused on self-interest and materialism, it will have a destructive and explosive quality. This is because wisdom always works towards unification and interplay. In line with natural laws, it shares and radiates and gives out. Whereas a self-centered mind accumulates, draws onto itself rather than radiates, creates a protective shell, and short-circuits the subtle and electrical interchange of evolutionary living. When the grossness of selfishness in human beings has been transmuted and burned away, all of his cells become radioactive. Their radiations have a luminosity and color which is observable by certain people who have extra developed sight and has been repressed for thousands of years all over the world as a nimbus or halo. The halo of a saint could perhaps be analyzed and explained as a scientific fact by those experts of today who are engaged in the photography and measurement of radiations. A person who has become radioactive, or who is able to transmute the atoms of his own body through the electrical forces of the mind, is as omnipotent compared with the undeveloped human being as nuclear energy is compared with the energy emitted by burning coal or wood. Such a person could have access to and control of an unlimited flow of power from within his own periphery. He could use it for a variety of purposes: for rejuvenation, for the acceleration of mental powers, for the withstanding of heat and cold, or for the radiation of powerful thoughts for the help of mankind. The atomic energy for which man is learning to release through science is actually the vehicle of spirit, the nearest substance of spirit, and is that which the spiritual impulse, which impels itself and grows, uses the creation of matter. It creates matter through the manipulation and control of differing rates of vibration, nothing more. Man has learned how to change one element into another. Man has now learned to change one element to another through stimulating this inner energy into premature action. It is awe-inspiring and dangerous work. In yoga and other ancient sciences of self-development, the electrical fires of the mind were used to initiate a similar process in order to release the energy of bodily atoms. This produced what was called the Kundalini fire, which was equally dangerous unless under the control of an utterly selfless mind. In a selfish personality, it of course produced an explosive situation, which brain cells were sometimes burnt up, and insanity was the unfortunate result. Humanity is now faced with the most dangerous but wonderful possibilities. Through its own efforts, it has reached a degree of knowledge which could bring omnipotence and fulfillment in the personal and world affairs, provided that this knowledge can be allied to wisdom, or the realization of the divine will or plan. If this is not achieved, disaster faces us all. This challenge can no longer be avoided. It is pressing urgently upon the entire world today. That is why compromise at present could even be more disastrous than evil doing, for it delays progress, whereas evil doing burns itself out. How wonderful if we could rise to this historic occasion, the inauguration of the atomic age, and learn to play our rightful part in it through a full understanding of its significance, and thus reap our glorious heritage. Whilst it's being worked out in the material aspect by modern science, let's keep this balance by studying and developing its fundamental basic aspects within ourselves. Thus, we may take our places in the vanguard of progress as the exponents of that wisdom which humanity will never learn to win through. All right. In order to do this, we propose to embark on the fascinating exploration. The mind of man is such that when once he has allowed it to fully grasp a situation, that is to say without prejudice, subconscious action is always taken in accordance with that situation. That is why it has been said that, quote, sin is really ignorance. Ignorance of the laws of life or of the full facts of the situation. Therefore, if we can once fully understand the situation in regard to atomic energy within ourselves, we will automatically begin to gain control of it, especially if we can understand its true relationship to the atomic energy of modern science. We will therefore explore these secrets of life in their several spheres and phases. Firstly, we will study the atom itself, its creation, development, and fulfillment. Secondly, we will study it as it exists in the human body and explore its relationship with ourselves. Thirdly, we will summarize the science of the old alchemists and find out, as nearly as we can, just what they were trying to do. Then we will compare this with the modern science of achieving. Finally, we will consider what both the modern scientists and the modern metaphysical sciences are demonstrating today. Is it possible that such an exploration may make it more clear to us what man's position in the divine scheme, and that which we will have grasped the situation sufficiently to undergo our own mental transmutation, so that our lives will be irresistibly oriented to the new values, new practices, and new powers inherent in the atomic age? If we are sincere enough, we may become the channel for that wisdom which is so desperately needed at the present time. Christ stated explicitly that he would, quote, return, end quote. In fact, he said that he would always be with us, possibly in the realm of vibrations from which materialism has been insulting us for so long. Science is opening up the way for us in our almost terrifying approach to the spiritual sphere itself. Can it not be that if we were to grasp the new knowledge and proffered opportunity in the right way, a most marvelous realization and experience awaits us? An experience, moreover, which we should be sharing with those fellow spirits all over the world who also await him under whatever name they know him, God's messenger, the ever-coming one, which is what the ancient Egyptians called him, who appeared throughout the world in history at cyclic intervals to save and to lead mankind. And that is the introduction to this book, and so succinctly encapsulates what we like to do here on the Stoop. Like and subscribe. We're going to get to chapter 1. That was just the introduction.